Welcome to another episode of Jazz Piano Fridays Season 1. In this season, we're studying 4-note rootless voicings. If you'd like instant access to the entire season right now, you can go to mdex.com and purchase the course. Let's get started. Lesson 1, C major. This is the key signature for C major. Let's first start by playing the scale. Make sure you know this scale inside and out before moving on. Now, let's take a look at the 7th chords in the progression. The roots in this progression are all diatonic to the key, except for the last chord, the sub 5 of 2, E flat 7 in C major, which is used to go back to the first chord, the 2 minor 7, D minor 7. Remember, this chord's root is a half step above its target. So if we play the C major scale following the circle of fifths and starting on the 2, D, we get the roots shown in this progression. The last root is just a half step above the 2 minor, D, or you can think of it as a tritone away from the previous chord, the 6 minor. So it's a good idea to play the roots in this order on your left hand a couple of times. All of the chords are diatonic to the key, except for the 2 5 of 6 and the sub 5. Yes, the 2 of 6 is the same as the 7 minor 7 flat 5, which is diatonic. But in this context, it functions as the 2 of 6. In C major, that's a B minor 7 flat 5. So the 5 of 6, E7, is the first chord that needs an accidental. Notice how the root E is diatonic, but instead of being a minor 7 chord, we're actually playing a dominant chord, the 5 7 of 6, E7. All of these chords together give us 2 crucial cadences. A 2-5-1 in major, D minor 7, G7, and C major 7, and a 2-5-1 in minor, B minor 7 flat 5, E7, and A minor 7, which is great since we're gonna be practicing quite a few essential cadences often found in jazz, all in one exercise. So now let's play all these 7th chords in root position in order. I'd recommend doing it first with both hands, playing the root on the left and the chord on the right hand, and then with only the left hand. Let's play this progression a couple of times together. Awesome. Now it's time to study the substitutions to turn these 7th chords into rootless voicings. Remember, with all of these chords, we will be substituting the root with the 9th, and on dominant chords, we're also going to be swapping out the 5th with the 13th. So for the D minor 7, we only need to substitute the root D with the 9th E. Play the original followed by the rootless a few times in a row just to get used to the sound and the muscle memory of it. The G7 is a dominant chord in major. As you'll see throughout this course, dominant chords require 2 substitutions, the root with the 9th and the 5th with the 13th. So we substitute the root G with the 9th, A, and we also substitute the 5th, D, with the 13th, E. Let's play it. On the C major 7, we use the same root to 9th substitution as before. So the root C becomes the 9th, D. F major 7 is also root with the 9th. F turns into G. So B minor 7 flat 5 is a minor 7 flat 5 chord, and as with all minor 7 flat 5 chords in this course, we'll keep it as is. No substitutions. This is because of the limited options available to us when it comes to minor 7 flat 5 chords. The E7, the 5/7 of 6, is a dominant chord that targets a minor chord. The substitutions for dominant chords in minor are slightly different than dominant chords in major. Instead of using a ninth, we're going to use a sharp ninth. And instead of the 13th, we'll use a flat 13th. So first, we need to substitute the root E with the sharp 9, which is F double sharp. In this book, we've avoided using double accidentals or any other weird enharmonics. So in the chart, you're going to see a G instead of an F double sharp. So the root E turns into a G, which could be perceived as a minor third above the root. So, as a tip, the sharp 9 is essentially the same as the flat 3. You can think of these rootless voicings of dominant chords that target minor as being both major and minor at the same time. The G and the G sharp are both present in the voicing. Next, we also need to substitute the 5th B with the flat 13th C. Play the original followed by the rootless a couple of times. Get used to the sound of that also. Next is the A minor 7. Again, substitute the root A with the 9th B. Lastly, the E flat 7. Although this dominant chord targets a minor chord, D minor 7, it is functioning as a sub 5, and thus it must be paired with the Lydian flat 7 scale. So when you see a sub 5, always use the substitution for dominant chords that target major chords. The root E flat with the 9th F, and the 5th B flat with the 13th C. Practice shifting from the original 7th chords to the rootless voicings until you understand these substitutions. I suggest not to waste your time playing this line as is. Although it's an interesting exercise, the benefits are few. One exercise you can practice is to play each voicing in all inversions. For example, if we take the voicing for D minor 7, we can play G7 is this. C major 7. Here's F major 7. B minor 7 flat 5. E7. A minor 7. And E flat 7. All right, so down here, you see the two starting points, voicing 1 and voicing 2. These are the two most effective inversions of the D minor 7. We will always start playing the 2 minor 7 using one of these two inversions. The best way to remember them is to look at the bottom note. One inversion has the flat 7 as the bottom, and the other has the flat 3. These are the guide tones. So, for D minor, one voicing sequence starts in this inversion with the flat 7, C, at the bottom. And the other starts here with the flat 3, F, on the bottom. Also, make sure you're playing them in the correct octave. Let's look at the score. First, make sure you understand that there are two sets of voicings. The voicing 1 sequence, which starts on D minor here, and the voicing 2 sequence, which starts here. Remember, you can always tap on any chord to view the snapshot of the voicing being played on the piano, and use the back to score button to go back again. Let's take a look at the first 2-5-1 in the voicing 1 sequence. So let's tap on the D minor chord to view the picture. Now, you can go to the next page to see the next chord in the progression. The walking man icon shows you where you are in the progression. So from the D minor 7 to the G7, only one note moves. The flat 7 in D minor 7, the C, moves to the 3 of G7, B, and the rest of the notes stay fixed. If we move one more page forward, we get to the C major 7. The only note that stays fixed is the note that just moved previously, because the 3 of G7 turns into a major 7 of C major 7. The other three notes move down diatonically. If we go back to the score and choose the voicing 2 sequence, we see the D minor 7 played in the voicing 2 inversion. And if we go back and forth between the next page and this one, we see the same exact movement. Only one note moves. The flat 7 in D minor 7, C, moves to the 3 of G7, B. Same exact voice leading. And when we move from G7 to C major 7, the only common tone is again the B, and the rest move down diatonically. Depending on how good you are at reading music notation, you can just use the score to practice these voicings and the voice leading there within. Or you have the option to jump to the snapshots and study the voice leading between the chords that way also. The important thing is that you always think in 4 voices and how they're moving from voicing to voicing. Don't rush it. Make sure you understand how these voices move before practicing the workout. All right, so now that we've laid out the process for going about this, it's time for you to get to work doing it. Don't forget, we've included a workout video to help you with this process. And crucial while you're doing this, like we said, pay attention to the common tones, how the voice leading works, which notes move, which notes don't. And furthermore, pay particular attention to how these notes function within the chord. Are they guide tones? Is it the 7? Is it the 3? Is it the 9? This is what's really going to take your playing to the next level. Not only that, considerably help you when you start using different voicings or even transpose it into different keys. Don't forget, come back Monday and check out the supplemental workout that goes with today's lesson. Or you can go to mdex.com right now and get the whole course right away.